right, welcome back everyone. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll have three presentations by higher ed and industry leaders sharing how they have used XR for education. And we'll kick off these lightning sessions with Dr. Gary Burnett from Loughborough University, who will discuss how he has used VR to teach empathy. All right, so Gary, the floor is yours.
Welcome everyone, or it's sort of afternoon for most, evening for me. So yeah, I'm at Loughborough University in the UK. It's sort of in the Midlands, sort of middle of the country, and yeah, I want to talk about what we've been doing with social VR for teaching, particularly our design students, the soft skills of empathy. This is published in this paper, so I'll provide that sort of later on in the chat. So it's sort of conference recently. Okay, so for particularly for our design students in design and creative arts, it's really important that they understand what's called the empathic horizon. So this is about how they can sort of comprehend what it might be like to have a particular impairment, to sort of live life with particular disability. And this sort of understanding other perspectives, world perspectives, becomes important when they're moving forward with their into their careers. And it's obviously it's specific to design, but actually this is relevant to any of our any students really. These are important soft skills. Now it's quite difficult to do this with current approaches, that for a variety of different reasons. If we sort of provide a visual impairment through special glasses, get people walking around campus, we have safety issues. We can't sort of control that experience. We have limitations in the world. And if we want people to be in a designed world, a prototype world, a world that doesn't exist, then we need to look to other approaches, and virtual reality is a very good one for looking at these sorts of things, the walking in the shoes of another. So what we've been doing with teaching is we've done this so far with 40 students on a module in inclusive sort of human-centered product design. And the learning outcome that we're targeting here is one about empathic understanding of related to particular impairments. So what we've done is we've used our own social VR platform based on the Mozilla open source code. We've created some bespoke avatars using Blender, and that links to being a wheelchair user, where it brings you lower into the world, leads to certain issues with reach and vision. And then we've had various visual impairments that we've done as well, cataracts, color blindness, etc., for students to have these very different experiences. So in terms of the way in which the session has gone, there's an overall introduction from me about reminding them the learning outcomes, sort of setting them up for the session. There's a whole onboarding thing. I could talk about that for hours, about all the issues involved in getting people who don't know very much about VR into a situation where they can then be focused on learning outcomes and not on the technology. Then there's the VR experience. That's the main part, with a variety of different things going on there. And really importantly, there's a whole reflection thing that happens afterwards about what just happened and what did you learn from this, and what can you take forward into your practice. So just a few videos. So we have an urban environment we've done. If you sort of see it on the left there, got students as wheelchair avatars coming up sort of up to an ATM, a cash point, and understanding what it's like to try to sort of reach up towards these sorts of controls, see these displays. And then we got the actual environment itself from the first person perspective of the student, who then selects their avatar. This one is giving them cataracts, and now the world suddenly becomes that bit scarier and a bit blurry. Our other virtual world that we've been working on is, you may or may not know that Loughborough is very well known for sports. So we thought we'd create a virtual sports stadium. And this sort of shows the sort of cataracts avatar.
Hello, hi.
They've gone up
How
to
can I help you?
ordering a hot dog.
Yes, please. Yeah, sure. Okay. Enjoy it. Oh, here's your money. Thank you.
So they're getting into sort of realistic tasks.
Don't get change.
And we're getting into issues with you trying to eat your hot dog. This is the sports stadium, and now we're sort of getting into issues of color vision. There we go. You've got the sort of two grey avatars, robot and a raccoon. They've got their tickets. They're trying to work out where they're going to sit. Now we're getting into the simulation of color blindness. This is red blind color blindness, protanopia, and they're realizing that actually it's very hard when my ticket says that I'm in the red zone when all the reds have disappeared. And then it also starts affecting issues of contrast. So here's our raccoon
You want a hot
avatar
dog?
who's trying to order a hot dog.
Yeah, sure. Here's your hot dogs.
And is now red
Want some
colorblind.
cash?
Suddenly,
The
it's
hot
very,
dog,
very
Mr.
hard to
Raccoon.
read anything on that. Read anything on that hot dog stand. Okay, so what have we got in terms of research findings? So there's been the empathy and design scale that we've used, and this essentially has shown a variety of significant differences from a statistical point of view. So yeah, I think I won't go into all the details of things, but it's things like that they felt more connected with that impairment. They felt that they could link it more to their future sort of lives themselves. They were quite emotional in this sort of situation. And you could see that in the comments that were coming back from students. So there was a whole set of comments around that they hadn't realized just how difficult it could be to sort of carry out these sorts of tasks with these impairments. There was a whole thing about, sort of specific things around vision and about the environment and the challenges that they had to try and overcome. And there were emotional stuff that was coming up as well. This sort of sense of being vulnerable came up from several students, particularly in the first scenario where they're looking to try and cross the road. And then there was a whole load of comments also about related to motivation, about the sort of excitement of these sorts of experiences for VR. As I said, for most students, this was the time that they had actually even put on a pair of a VR headset. In terms of last slide for broader implications, yeah, I think it's pretty apparent now. And we had that first paper, there's a journal paper that's under review, where we have demonstrated how social VR in this context can significantly enhance and extend learning outcomes, because students are learning about VR as well. It's not just about product design. They're also learning about this new technology and how it can be used. And then there's a wider thing for us at the university about how you do this type of in the classroom VR teaching session. There's a whole load of prep that's involved in this to do with the technology, the hardware, the software, the actual physical room itself. There's a whole load of things to do with onboarding for these students who don't necessarily know very much about VR, and that you need to sort of get them to sort of understand enough to have a positive experience. There's accessibility issues. We had some students who didn't get on with VR, and it's very important to have an alternative platform. So it's one of the reasons for us having a browser-based VR solution. And there's a whole thing about the audience. You can see it on this sort of big screen. This big screen becomes really important because the students who are waiting their turn sort of build up the anticipation, and also they're learning from watching what's going on in the virtual world. So thinking about your audience is also really important. Okay, that's me done. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gary. All right, and next up we have Cynthia Tysick. And so Cynthia is an innovative pedagogy and creative spaces librarian at University of Buffalo Libraries, and she will be presenting on how she has used VR to teach sustainability.
So as a librarian, I work a lot with other teaching faculty, and we use different innovative tools and techniques. And one of the challenges that I had with a particular professor was in a sustainability course. And her challenge was that she felt her students really weren't understanding the sustainable concepts that they could employ in various environments, such as in their home, their community, or even on a global scale. So in a particular course, which was the environment and society, she would have them give group presentations, but she felt that they relied on PowerPoint too much and that it was a little what she would call flat. There wasn't a lot of deep learning and deep understanding of the concepts that she was teaching throughout the course. So she wanted to see if there was any way that we could introduce virtual reality and have the students experiment in a virtual environment with various sustainable design elements that she was teaching them throughout the semester. And traditionally, she would have the students work in the teams and they would go through a particular neighborhood and they would do like an environmental scan and they would create a PowerPoint and give a presentation on the PowerPoint using the PowerPoint. So what we designed for the pilot was that they would take those ideas that they would have had in the PowerPoint and they would create an actual virtual experience. So the components for the project that we worked on was first picking a local neighborhood. And this could be anywhere. I'm in Buffalo, which is upstate New York. So they could pick any neighborhood that they wanted to improve. And they would use their 360 camera that we have. We have an Insta360. I think it was version 3 we had at the time. Then we would use Adobe Photoshop using generative AI to add the sustainable elements. And we had 4 or 5 MetaQuest 3 headsets. So we broke them up into teams of 4 or 5. And then, of course, we needed a large enough open space because all of the groups were going to be presenting at the same time. So we needed a space within the library where we could host everybody. So this is an example of what they ended up producing. Okay, so these are elements such as the vines going up the side, the little garden, the play areas that they added onto a photograph that they took of an actual, these are the dorms at our campus. Here's a greenhouse that they added into it. And in the VR headset, you get a full 360 experience with it. So how did we get them from that particular immersed experience with the headset? How did we get them there? So we have a team in the libraries that deals in multimedia creation, and that's where we had all of the tools that we use. So we trained them on how to use the camera and the headset. So that took 2 class periods to train them effectively on how to set the tripod up, how to take the picture in the particular environment they were in. And then we also wanted to show them how to put the headsets on, as you can see the top right photograph, how to actually put the headsets on and then maneuver, tightening it, all the logistics of using a headset. So that was the first week. We had them for actually 3 weeks of class time. Okay, so once we felt that over the 2 class periods, they understood how to use the Insta360 and how they were going to save their files, because figuring out how to save them, where to save them, we have boxed, so we ended up having box folders for all of the groups. There were 4 groups that worked on this particular project. So then we sent them out into their community. So they had a whole week. The professor gave them a week to find the places that they wanted to improve on, the neighborhoods that they wanted to improve on. And so then in the second week that we had them, we then introduced them to Photoshop. So what you see here, there is a bank of Apple computers, Mac computers on the back there that have Photoshop with the Beta Gen AI. And so we taught them how to add elements to the 360 image that they took. So how to lay it out, how to slice it and lay it out flat, and then how to add the elements into the particular images. And then they made drafts. So what you're seeing here is one of the students is testing some of the sustainable elements that her team wanted to put in the neighborhood that they filmed. And once they had another week of editing it and making any, fine tuning it. Then they put it back together and they got the team feedback from each other, and then they had the final image that they were going to use. So this is just a handout sheet that I used to describe for them, what they were going to be doing. I have to out of here, so I won't have time to show it, but like I said, we use Adobe Photoshop and the Gen AI to find a particular image. In the presentation that they had to do, this is an example. So instead of the PowerPoint, the students had the 360 image. These are professors in an environmental studies department who came to their presentations, and the students stood up front and gave a talk about what they were seeing in their particular environment. One of the interesting things, they also wanted a PowerPoint. The professor also did want a PowerPoint, and she had asked them where some of the technology fell short. And what was interesting is they felt that the Gen AI did a very bad job of finding what it was they wanted to add to the elements. So for example, if they want to add a trellis and they put trellis, it would give you an image of a stroller, and they couldn't understand why it was falling short. So it was a good lesson on what Gen AI is and how it's not as scary as they like to think, or not as perfect as they like to think. So this is another example of another environment that the students had made. So they added a walkway here. They added another greenhouse. So again, these are all sustainable elements that this third group ended up putting in their particular image and neighborhood. So the student feedback, we gave a pre-test. We wanted to know what kind of knowledge they already had about VR, their understanding, and possibly any type of implications they felt VR could. So we wanted to get an understanding of where they were. So they all were kind of middle of the road, and kind of not strongly agreeing or disagreeing either way, and seeing the potential of it. Then we wanted some more qualitative feedback from them on the experience. 86% of them felt that other courses should be using virtual reality. And here's some of how it impacted their learning. When we asked them during the presentation how they felt about working together, they said that they really liked working in a group this time. They didn't want to miss any of the VR training. They were really looking forward to coming to class. They felt that we could improve their presentations. There wasn't much that they would change. They said that they felt their own time management was their worst enemy. So that was it. That was our experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for sharing. And finally, we have Steph, Packard, and Strayden from MEG Languages. They will be talking about how they have built immersive XR adventures to teach intercultural learning. All right, so Steph and Luke, feel free to share your screen, and
Great.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much,
Awesome.
Sophie.
Thanks, Sophie. Thank you to everyone for being here today and for hanging around for our talk. We're really excited to chat with y'all. Oh, look, it looks like your notes are.
Oh, okay.
No worries. Yeah, anywho, so just want to do a really quick introduction here. My name is Steph Pacharz. I am a product innovation lead at MEG Languages alongside Luke. Prior to this, I have a background in early childhood, elementary education, and learning experience design.
Great, and my name is Luke Stratton. I'm a product innovation lead alongside Steph and have been with MEG 2.5 years as well as we started together. I'm a former classroom teacher of French and Russian, and I'm really excited to be at this frontier of XR learning. So I'm glad to get this chance to share what MEG has been doing with you all.
Yeah, all right. So today we're going to be sharing how our XR adventures bridge the gap between language and cultural learning, two elements that we really believe belong together, but quite often are separated in a more traditional education setting. So yeah, in the interest of time, let's go ahead and jump in.
Okay. So at MEG, we believe cultural competency isn't just complementary to language acquisition. It's essential, forming the foundation upon which authentic communication is built. I don't think many of you would disagree with us there in the audience, but I just wanted to let you know what our philosophy is. And what we're showing you there with the images are screenshots from our 2 culture quests that we've designed, one called Ink and Legacy, which is for Latin American Spanish learning, intercultural learning, and Zodiac Chase for Mandarin, which is contemporary Chinese culture or intercultural learning.
All right, and so kind of the challenge that we've identified here that we're trying to address is, like I said, it's not uncommon to see language instruction and cultural instruction separate from one another in an education setting. Traditional education can often reduce the cultural learning to more passive, observational learning rather than active experience, which limits the student's ability to be able to develop that cultural competency. So why this matters to us, at MEG, we offer language instruction in Spanish and Mandarin Chinese, and our culture quests are strategically designed to enhance a student's cultural competence alongside our core language programs. Currently, we have these developed in English to reach beginners through intermediate learners alike, and they provide cultural immersion that complements our linguistic offerings. So what we're trying to do here is to create an immersive bridge between that cultural literacy and language acquisition, with plans to eventually and hopefully deliver these experiences in target languages as our students advance.
Okay, move on to the next slide.
All right, so our XR or extended reality opportunity. So cultural competency learning can be transformed into an engaging game-like experience that can make exploring diverse cultural practices both fun and low pressure.
These images that you're seeing here showcase how extended reality transforms cultural learning into active exploration. So while navigating memorable immersive environments, students participate directly in cultural contexts through movement and sensory engagement. So in our Zodiac Chase, students learn about birthday protocols in China and the Lunar New Year, celebration, and their cultural knowledge shifts from abstract facts to lived experiences, making cultural nuances both meaningful and memorable. And what I mean about lived experience here is the tangible experience of navigating a virtual world and completing learning tasks, which they're doing in a VR map of the Great Wall of China.
Right, and so the goal with our culture quests is to really leverage XR technology to transform cultural education from this passive observation that we've been talking about here into a more active engagement. Our culture quests transport our students into gamified environments that are inspired by iconic locations such as the Great Wall of China and Machu Picchu, where they can experience traditions through interactive challenges. This immersive approach, we believe, really aims to create connections to cultural practices, also aims to foster intercultural competence and intuitive understanding of differences, and also we hope will spark a natural curiosity about diverse global perspectives. The goal of this overall is to lay a really great foundation for future language acquisition and intercultural competence. So let's go ahead and we're going to shift over here to a video and we'll step into our Zodiac Chase culture quest together to see how it works in practice.
Okay, great. And hopefully that video is playing for everyone. So I'll be getting in here and narrating some of what you're seeing about the Zodiac Chase. So the first element here is going to be immersive gamified learning. Students step into an interactive Great Wall map where Chinese zodiac animals challenge them with missions and quests. Learning transforms from passive to active as students become explorers in their own educational adventure. So you're seeing some some actual video of students in that map playing around and answering questions. And the next part is peer collaboration. This is a really fun aspect for students. Students navigate this virtual world together, sharing discoveries, strategizing on mission completion, and celebrating victories. XR technology turns traditional classrooms into these vibrant social learning hubs where collaboration drives engagement. So in this particular one that you see here, this footage, there are a lot of students in here just really exploring and chatting and whatnot. Our intuitive design means students can dive in and start discovering immediately. So if they want to do this on their own, the self-paced environment lets hesitant learners build confidence through exploration, while advanced students can forge ahead. So they can, of course, talk to others or not. Building intercultural confidence. This is really the kicker for us. We've embedded standards aligned with intercultural learning experiences into the gameplay, so students make real cultural decisions. They'll select an appropriate birthday gift for China. If you were living in China, they'll learn about receiving a hangbao or red envelope. They will think comparatively about archetypes of animals in Western and Chinese cultures.
Yeah, and then something that makes XR so powerful is how it blends imagination with reality. So with both of our quests, we don't just recreate the landmark. We take time to seek out cultural elements that kind of pull students into the narrative of their quest's adventures. We're building toward the Lunar New Year here in Zodiac Chase and the Lunar New Year celebration as a rewarding high point for students. And the visuals help to kind of create those memorable moments and hopefully turn into some curiosity. And then, of course, the whole experience, again, builds toward these celebratory moments that really reward students for their curiosity and their effort throughout their adventures. So instead of just watching a video about cultural traditions, they're actually participating in the festivities they've been learning about. And they get to feel that excitement and understand the meaning behind these traditions firsthand, virtually, of course. And so it's that shift from passive observer to active participant that really makes such a difference in how students connect to the culture of the language that they're learning.
Okay, great. I'm going to close that out and hopefully you see my slides again. Okay, sorry, 1 second. All right, so extended reality learning, let's go. Yeah, to complement the learning of the Culture Quest, we have developed supplemental AR or augmented reality activities and live 360 footage of the sites students explore in the virtual world. So we have this multi-layered XR approach that we think really transforms the learning. Students navigate the virtual map, then they are immersed in stunning real-world footage of the landmarks that they were in, Great Wall of China or Machu Picchu, like we said. So what you see is a frame from our Great Wall 360 video experience. And this powerful combination of digital exploration and authentic footage creates a vital bridge between classroom learning and real world wonder. So we also provide students with reflection questions for understanding and getting the most from their XR journey, grounding that virtual exploration in meaningful discussion.
All right, and so as is kind of the spirit of a lightning talk, that was a lot of information coming at you very, very quickly. So we absolutely understand if you still have some questions or if you're maybe curious to learn more yourselves. So if that is the case for you, you can scan this QR code and it will take you to a form where you can tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about how you think our culture quests could maybe enrich your classroom experiences. And we are absolutely happy to continue this conversation past this talk.
We hope you got a chance to scan that code. And if you want to scan more QR codes, here are 2 more that lead you to our LinkedIn profiles if you'd like to connect with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Please reach out. We would love to connect and talk more. We'd love to hear about what you are doing. We would love to talk about what we are doing. And yeah, I just wanted to take a second to thank all of you for attending our talk today. Thank you so much to Immerse for having us. And yeah, really great experience. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for the amazing presentation. Thank you again, Gary, Cynthia, Steph, and Luc, and for you all who joined the session today.